Welcome to my channel. Let me ask you something honestly. Do you ever feel that you know many English words, but when it is time to speak, your mind suddenly becomes empty? Do you feel that your thoughts are small and your confidence becomes even smaller? Maybe you understand English when you read or listen, but when you open your mouth to speak, the words do not come out easily. If this sounds familiar, don't worry. You are not alone. Millions of English learners around the world feel exactly the same way. They think they must speak perfect English to sound confident. They believe they need big vocabulary, long sentences, and perfect grammar before they can speak well. But here is the truth that most learners don't realize. Confidence in English does not start with big thinking. It starts with small thinking. Yes, small ideas can create confident conversations. When your thoughts become simple, your speaking becomes stronger. When your mind becomes calm, your words start flowing naturally. In this video, I will show you a powerful idea that can completely change the way you speak English. You will learn how small thinking can build big confidence in your speaking. And once you understand this simple secret, English will start feeling easier and more natural every single day. So stay with me till the end, because what you learn today may change the way you think about English forever. Chapter 1. Let us start with something very simple. Many English learners believe speaking English is difficult because the language itself is complicated. They think they need a big vocabulary, perfect grammar, and long sentences to speak well. Because of this belief, they put a lot of pressure on themselves every time they try to speak. Their brain starts searching for the perfect word. Their mind tries to build a perfect sentence. And while they are trying to make everything perfect, something strange happens. Their speaking stops. Have you ever experienced this moment? You want to say something in English. The idea is inside your mind. But when you try to say it, your brain becomes slow. You start thinking too much. You wonder if the grammar is correct. You worry if people will understand you. You feel afraid of making a mistake. And because of all this thinking, the sentence never comes out. This is one of the biggest problems for English learners. The problem is not that they do not know English. The real problem is that they are trying to think too big. When your thoughts become too big, your brain needs more time to organize them. Imagine trying to build a very big house in just a few seconds. It is not possible. You need time, tools, and planning. Speaking English works in a similar way. If you try to build a very complicated sentence while you are speaking, your brain becomes overloaded. Now think about something different. Imagine building a small house instead of a big one. A small house is easier to build. It needs fewer materials. It takes less time. The process becomes simple and smooth. Speaking English works the same way when your thoughts are small. Simple thinking creates simple sentences. Simple sentences come out of your mouth faster and more naturally. Many learners believe simple sentences make them sound weak or childish. But this idea is not true at all. In fact, most daily conversations in English are built from very simple sentences. Native speakers do not always use complicated grammar. They speak in short, clear, and natural ways. Think about daily conversations you hear in movies or videos. People say things like, "I like this." "That makes sense." "Let me think." "I understand." "That sounds good." These sentences are not long or complicated, but they work perfectly in communication. Communication is not about showing how many difficult words you know. Communication is about sharing ideas clearly. When your idea is clear, your listener understands you easily. And when your listener understands you, your confidence grows. Confidence is a very interesting thing. It does not appear suddenly. It grows slowly through small successes. Every time you say a sentence and someone understands you, your brain receives a small message that says, "You can do this." Over time, these small moments create strong confidence. But when learners try to speak using very complex sentences, the opposite happens. They stop in the middle of their speech. They forget words. They feel embarrassed. Their brain receives a different message that says, "Speaking English is hard." The truth is that speaking English becomes hard only when we make it hard. Let me share a small example with you. Imagine someone asks you a simple question. They ask, "Do you like coffee?" Now, there are two ways you might answer. One learner might start thinking like this. They think about grammar. They think about using advanced vocabulary. They try to build a long explanation. They might try to say something like, "Yes, I have always been particularly fond of coffee because it provides me with energy and helps me concentrate during the day." This sentence is not wrong, but for a beginner, building this sentence while speaking can be very stressful. Another learner might simply say, "Yes, I like coffee. It helps me feel awake." This answer is simple, clear, and natural. The message is delivered. The conversation continues. Which speaker sounds more comfortable? Most of the time, the second speaker sounds more confident. Not because the sentence is bigger, but because the speaking feels natural. This is why simple thinking is powerful for English learners. Your brain works faster when the ideas are small and clear. Instead of searching for complicated words, your mind focuses on sharing the message. Think about how children learn to speak their first language. They do not start with long sentences. They begin with very small ideas. A child might say, "Want water?" "I hungry?" "Play outside." These sentences are not perfect, but they communicate meaning. Over time, the sentences become longer and more accurate. But the process always starts small. Learning English as a second language follows a very similar path. You do not need to begin with complicated grammar. You begin with simple communication. Another important thing to understand is that your brain learns patterns through repetition. When you use simple sentences again and again, your brain starts recognizing those patterns automatically. For example, if you often say sentences like, "I like this," "I like that," "I like this movie," "I like this food," your brain quickly becomes comfortable with that structure. Later, your brain naturally expands the sentence. "I like this movie because it is funny. I like this food because it tastes good." Step by step, the sentence grows. But the growth happens naturally, without pressure. Many learners try to jump directly to advanced speaking. They skip the simple stage. Because of this, their brain struggles to keep up. Imagine trying to run before learning how to walk. You would probably fall. Language learning works the same way. Walking comes first. Running comes later. Simple thinking is the walking stage of speaking English. Another reason simple thinking improves speaking is because it reduces fear. When your sentences are short and clear, you worry less about making mistakes. Even if you make a small grammar mistake, the listener usually understands your meaning. For example, imagine you say, "Yesterday I go market." The grammar is not perfect. The correct sentence should be, "Yesterday I went to the market." But most people will still understand you. Communication still happens. This realization is very powerful. It helps learners relax. When you relax, your brain works better. Stress and fear slow down your thinking. Confidence and calmness speed it up. So the goal is not perfect English. The goal is clear English. Clear English comes from clear thinking. And clear thinking often starts small. You may notice something interesting when you start practicing simple thinking. Your speaking becomes faster. Your hesitation becomes smaller. Conversations become easier. Instead of stopping to search for the perfect word, you simply say what you know. This small change can transform your speaking experience. You stop worrying about sounding perfect. You start focusing on sharing ideas. And something surprising begins to happen. As you speak more often, your vocabulary grows naturally. Your grammar improves naturally. Your confidence grows naturally. All of this begins with one simple idea. Think small. Speak clearly. Many learners are waiting for the day when their English becomes perfect before they start speaking confidently. But that day may never come. Confidence does not come after perfect English. Confidence grows while you are speaking imperfect English. Every small sentence you speak is like a small step forward. One step may look tiny, but hundreds of steps create a long journey. If you continue taking these small steps every day, one day you will look back and realize something amazing. The English that once felt impossible now feels natural. And it all began with something very simple. You stopped trying to think big. You started thinking small. And because your thoughts became small, your speaking became confident. Chapter 2. Now let us talk about something very important that many English learners do not notice. Many people believe their problem is vocabulary or grammar. They think, if I learn more words, I will become confident. Or they think, if my grammar becomes perfect, I will speak easily. But the truth is often very different. The real problem is not outside. The real problem is inside the mind. There is a small voice inside every learner's mind. Sometimes this voice is helpful. It encourages us to try again. It tells us we can improve. But sometimes this voice becomes negative. It starts saying things like, "My English is not good." "People will laugh at me." "I will make mistakes." "I am not ready to speak yet." When this voice becomes strong, confidence becomes weak. Have you ever noticed this situation? You are alone, and you try speaking English. Suddenly you feel comfortable. You can say a few sentences. Your ideas come out easily. But when another person is in front of you, everything changes. Your mind becomes nervous. Your heart beats faster. Your voice becomes quiet. Even the words you know disappear. Why does this happen? It happens because of the fear inside the mind. When we believe something negative about ourselves, our brain starts acting according to that belief. If you believe your English is bad, your brain will try to protect you from embarrassment. It will tell you to stay silent. It will tell you not to take risks. But this protection becomes a problem, because when you stop speaking, you stop learning. Confidence in English does not grow by waiting. Confidence grows by speaking again and again. Think about riding a bicycle for the first time. At the beginning, you feel nervous. You worry about falling. Your balance is not perfect. Maybe you fall once or twice. But every time you try again, your body learns something new. Slowly, your balance improves. Slowly, your fear becomes smaller. Speaking English works in the same way. The first conversations may feel uncomfortable. You may forget words. You may make grammar mistakes. But every time you speak, your brain becomes stronger. Unfortunately, many learners stop themselves before this progress can happen. They wait for the perfect moment. They say, "I will start speaking when my English becomes better." But here is something very important to understand. Your English becomes better because you speak, not before you speak. This idea is difficult for many learners to accept. They believe speaking is the final stage of learning. But actually, speaking is part of the learning process itself. Let us imagine two learners. The first learner studies English every day. They read grammar books. They memorize vocabulary lists. They watch videos and listen to lessons, but they rarely speak. They always say, "I am still preparing." The second learner also studies, but they speak often. Their sentences are simple. Their grammar is not perfect. Sometimes they forget words, but they keep trying. They speak with friends, they speak to themselves, and they practice small conversations. After 6 months, something interesting happens. The first learner knows many grammar rules, but still feels nervous speaking. Their brain is not used to turning knowledge into real conversation. The second learner may know fewer rules, but they speak more comfortably. Their brain has practiced communication many times. This shows us something very important. Confidence grows through action, not only through knowledge. Another reason learners lose confidence is comparison. Many people compare their English with fluent speakers. They watch videos of native speakers or advanced learners and think, "I will never speak like that." This comparison can be very discouraging, but it is also unfair. Imagine comparing a beginner runner with a professional athlete. The athlete has trained for many years. They have practiced thousands of hours. Of course, their performance is different. Language learning works exactly the same way. Every fluent speaker was once a beginner. They also made mistakes. They also forgot words. They also felt nervous at the beginning. Fluency is not something people are born with. It is something they build over time. So instead of comparing yourself with other people, try comparing yourself with your past self. Ask simple questions. Are you understanding more English than before? Are you learning new words every week? Are you speaking a little more than last month? If the answer is yes, then you are improving. Progress in language learning is often slow, but it is always happening when you continue practicing. Another powerful way to build confidence is changing the way you speak to yourself. Your inner voice has a big influence on your learning journey. If your mind keeps repeating negative messages, your confidence becomes weaker. But you can train your mind to think differently. For example, instead of saying, "My English is terrible," you can say, "My English is improving step by step." Instead of saying, "I cannot speak," you can say, "I am learning to speak." Instead of saying, "I will make mistakes," you can say, "Mistakes will help me learn." These small changes in thinking may look simple, but they create a powerful effect over time. Your brain listens to the messages you repeat every day. When the messages become positive, your confidence begins to grow. You start feeling more comfortable trying new sentences. You become less afraid of small errors. And something wonderful begins to happen. Speaking English becomes less stressful and more natural. You start enjoying the process instead of fearing it. Remember something very important. Confidence does not mean speaking perfect English. Confidence means speaking even when your English is not perfect. Every sentence you speak is a small victory. Every conversation is a step forward. The learners who become fluent are not always the smartest or the most talented. Often they are simply the ones who keep speaking even when they feel nervous. They understand a powerful truth. Confidence is not something you wait for. Confidence is something you build. Chapter 3. Now that we understand the importance of confidence and simple thinking, let us move to the next step. How do we turn small ideas into confident sentences? Many English learners think they need big ideas or complicated thoughts before they can speak. They believe that if their thoughts are simple, their English will sound weak. But the truth is very different. Simple ideas are the strongest foundation for clear and confident speaking. Every conversation in the world starts with a small idea. People do not always think in long paragraphs. Most of the time, communication begins with a simple thought. For example, you may think, "I like this place." Or maybe you think, "I am tired today." Or perhaps you think, "This food tastes good." These ideas are very small, but they are powerful because they are clear. When your idea is clear, turning it into English becomes easier. Your brain does not need to search for complicated structures. It simply connects the idea with the words you already know. Let us look at a very simple example. Imagine the thought in your mind is, "I like tea." This is a small and clear idea. You already know the words "I," "like," and "tea." So the sentence becomes easy to say. You simply speak it. "I like tea." Now something interesting happens after you say this sentence. Your brain becomes more relaxed because communication has already started. When the pressure disappears, your mind becomes more creative. You may naturally want to add another small idea. For example, You may say, I like tea. It helps me relax. Or you may say, I like tea. I drink it every morning. You see what happened here? One small idea created another small idea. Step by step, the conversation grows. This is how fluent speakers often communicate. They do not always prepare long sentences before speaking. Instead, they share ideas one by one. Each sentence adds a little more information. Many learners make the mistake of trying to say everything in one sentence. They try to combine many ideas together, and their brain becomes overloaded. This makes speaking slow and stressful. But when you divide your thoughts into small pieces, speaking becomes much easier. Instead of building one big sentence, you build many small sentences. For example, imagine someone asks you, "How was your day?" A learner who is trying to think too big may struggle. They may try to create a long explanation with perfect grammar. They may worry about every word. But a learner who uses small ideas can answer easily. They might say, "My day was good. I worked in the morning. After that, I met my friend. We had lunch together. It was nice." Each sentence is simple, but together they create a complete story. The listener understands everything clearly. This technique is very powerful for beginners. It allows you to speak longer without needing advanced grammar. Another useful method is expanding sentences step by step. Let us look at how this works. Start with a very small sentence. For example, I watch movies. This is already a complete sentence, but you can slowly add more information. I watch movies at night. I watch movies at night because it helps me relax. I watch movies at night because it helps me relax after a long day. You see how the sentence grows naturally. At every stage, the sentence is correct and understandable. You do not need to jump directly to the longest version. You can stop at any point. This step-by-step expansion helps your brain become comfortable with English structure. Over time, your sentences become longer without feeling difficult. Another important thing to remember is that repetition helps fluency. When you repeat simple structures many times, your brain memorizes them automatically. For example, sentences like, I like, I think, I feel, I want, and I need are very common in English conversation. If you practice these structures often, they will become natural for you. You may say, I like this song. I like this book. I like this place. Or you may say, I think this is interesting. I think this is a good idea. I think this movie is funny. The more you repeat these patterns, the faster your brain recognizes them. Soon you will not need to think about them at all. This is one of the secrets behind fluency. Fluent speakers do not create every sentence from the beginning. They use familiar patterns again and again. These patterns act like building blocks. With a few blocks, you can create many different sentences. Another helpful strategy is describing simple things around you. Look around your room. Maybe you see a chair, a table, a phone, or a window. Each object can become a small idea. You can say, this is my chair. It is comfortable. Or, this is my phone. I use it every day. Or, the window is open. The air feels fresh. This kind of practice trains your brain to turn thoughts into English quickly. At first, the sentences may feel very simple, but that is perfectly fine. Remember, simple speaking is not weak speaking. It is the foundation of strong communication. Another interesting benefit of small ideas is that they reduce fear. When you try to speak very complex sentences, you worry more about mistakes. But when the sentence is short, the risk becomes smaller. Even if you make a small grammar mistake, the listener usually understands your message. Communication continues, and your confidence grows. Over time, these small speaking moments add up. You start noticing something surprising. The sentences that once felt difficult now feel natural. Words come to your mind faster. Ideas connect more easily. Conversations become smoother. This is the power of turning small ideas into confident sentences. Fluency is not created by trying to sound impressive. Fluency is created by speaking clearly, calmly, and consistently. So do not wait for big ideas before you speak English. Start with the small ideas already inside your mind. Those small ideas are the first steps toward confident communication. Chapter 4. Now let us talk about something that can completely change your English-speaking journey. Many learners believe they need long study hours to become fluent. They think they must sit for many hours with books, grammar rules, and vocabulary lists. Because of this belief, they often wait for the perfect time to study. They say things like, "Today I am busy. I will study tomorrow." Or they say, "When I have more free time, I will practice speaking." But the truth is very different. Fluency is not created by long study sessions once in a while. Fluency grows from small daily habits. Think about learning any new skill. Imagine someone who wants to become strong and healthy. If that person goes to the gym for 5 hours one day, but then does nothing for the next 10 days, their progress will be very slow. But if another person exercises for just 15 minutes every day, their body will slowly become stronger. The same idea works for learning English. Your brain learns language through repetition and regular practice. When you practice a little every day, your brain becomes familiar with English sounds, words, and sentence patterns. Slowly, English begins to feel natural instead of strange. Many learners make the mistake of studying too much in one day and then stopping for several days. When this happens, the brain forgets many things that were learned earlier. It becomes difficult to build a strong learning habit. This is why small daily speaking habits are so powerful. Even 5 or 10 minutes of speaking practice every day can create big improvement over time. The key is consistency, not intensity. Now you may be wondering something important. How can you practice speaking every day if you do not always have someone to talk to? This is a very common question. The good news is that speaking practice does not always require another person. You can create many small speaking opportunities during your daily life. One of the easiest habits is speaking to yourself. At first, this may feel strange, but it is one of the most effective ways to practice English. When you speak to yourself, you remove the pressure of other people listening. You can think slowly, Choose your words carefully and repeat sentences if necessary. For example, in the morning, you can describe your daily routine. You might say, "I am waking up now. I feel a little tired today. I will drink some water first. After that, I will prepare breakfast." These sentences are simple, but they train your brain to think and speak in English. Another helpful habit is describing the things around you. Look at your room, your desk, or the place where you are sitting. You can talk about what you see. You might say, "This is my desk. My computer is on the desk. I use this computer to watch English videos. My chair is comfortable." This simple activity helps your brain connect objects with English words. You can also practice English while doing daily activities. When you are cooking, walking, or traveling, try thinking in English about what you are doing. For example, if you are cooking, you might say in your mind, "I am cutting vegetables. Now I am adding some salt. The food smells good." These small thoughts train your brain to process English naturally. Another powerful daily habit is repeating useful sentences. When you hear a good sentence in a video or lesson, repeat it out loud. This helps your mouth become comfortable with English sounds and rhythm. For example, if you hear a sentence like, "That sounds like a good idea," repeat it several times. You can also change a few words to create new sentences. You might say, "That sounds like a fun plan," or "That sounds like a great movie." This simple repetition helps your brain learn how English sentences are built. Many learners underestimate the power of these small practices. They believe progress only happens during serious study sessions. But in reality, language learning happens throughout daily life. Every time you speak a sentence, your brain becomes more comfortable with English. Every time you hear English, your listening ability improves. Every time you think in English, your mind becomes faster. Another important habit is listening to English regularly. Listening and speaking are closely connected. When you hear English often, your brain learns how sentences sound in real conversation. This makes speaking easier later. You can listen to English while doing simple activities like walking, cleaning, or traveling. Short videos, podcasts, or songs can all help your brain become familiar with the language. Over time, you will notice something interesting. The English that once felt difficult will start feeling normal. Words will come to your mind more quickly. Sentences will feel easier to build. This happens because your brain has practiced English many small times instead of only a few big times. Another important benefit of daily habits is motivation. When you practice a little every day, you start feeling proud of your effort. Even small progress feels encouraging. Imagine learning one new phrase every day. After 1 week, you will know 7 new phrases. After 1 month, you will know 30 new phrases. After 1 year, you will know hundreds of useful expressions. Small steps create big results. Many successful language learners follow this simple principle. They do not wait for motivation to appear. Instead, they build habits that make learning automatic. When something becomes a habit, you no longer need to force yourself to do it. It becomes part of your daily routine. Just like brushing your teeth every day, practicing English can become a natural part of your life. At the beginning, these habits may feel small and simple, But remember something very important. Big success is usually built from many small actions repeated again and again. Every time you speak one sentence, you are training your brain. Every time you listen to English, you are strengthening your understanding. Every time you think in English, you are building confidence. And slowly, day by day, something amazing begins to happen. English stops feeling like a difficult subject. It starts feeling like a natural part of your life. Chapter 5. Now let us talk about something many English learners forget when they focus only on grammar and vocabulary. Speaking English is not only about the words you say. It is also about how you say them. Your voice, your speed, your pauses, and even your body language can change how confident you sound. Think about two people saying the same sentence. One person says, "I think this is a good idea," but they speak very quietly. They speak very fast. They stop suddenly in the middle of the sentence because they feel unsure. The listener may feel that this speaker is nervous. Now imagine another person saying the same sentence. They speak clearly. Their voice is calm. They pause naturally between ideas. They look relaxed. Even if their grammar is not perfect, they sound confident. You see something important here. Confidence is not only inside your mind. Confidence also appears in the way your voice and body behave. Many learners think they must wait until their English becomes perfect before they can sound confident. But this is not true. You can begin speaking with a confident style even while you are still learning. The first thing to understand is the speed of your speech. When learners feel nervous, they often speak too quickly. Their brain is trying to escape the uncomfortable situation. Because of this, the words come out too fast and sometimes become unclear. Speaking slowly is one of the simplest ways to sound more confident. When you slow down, your brain has more time to choose words. Your sentences become clearer. Your listener understands you better. Imagine saying a sentence like this. "I think this movie is very interesting." The words come out very fast and it becomes difficult to understand. Now imagine saying it calmly. "I think this movie is very interesting." The sentence is exactly the same, but the pace makes it much clearer. Another important skill is learning how to pause. Many learners are afraid of silence. They think they must fill every moment with words. But pauses are actually a natural part of communication. Native speakers pause all the time. They pause to think. They pause to organize their ideas. These pauses make speech sound natural and thoughtful. For example, you might say, "I watched a movie yesterday, and it was really interesting." The small pause gives your brain time to continue speaking comfortably. When learners understand that pauses are normal, they stop feeling pressure to speak perfectly without stopping. This helps them relax during conversation. Breathing also plays an important role in confident speaking. When you feel nervous, your breathing often becomes fast and shallow. This can make your voice sound weak or shaky. Taking a slow breath before speaking can calm your body. When your body becomes calm, your voice becomes stronger and steadier. You can try a simple habit. Before answering a question, take a small breath. Then start speaking slowly. This small action can make a big difference in how confident you sound. Another important element of confident communication is body language. Even when you are speaking a different language, your body can express confidence or nervousness. If you look down all the time, avoid eye contact, or move your body nervously, people may feel that you are unsure about what you are saying. But if you keep a relaxed posture, look at the person you are speaking with, and use natural facial expressions, your communication becomes stronger. You do not need dramatic gestures or big movements. Small, natural actions are enough. A simple smile, a calm posture, and steady eye contact can make your message feel more confident. It is also important to remember that listeners usually care more about understanding your message than judging your grammar. Many learners imagine that every mistake will be noticed immediately. But in real conversations, people are usually focused on the meaning of what you say. Imagine someone says, "Yesterday I go to market and buy fruit." The grammar is not perfect, but the meaning is clear. Most listeners will understand easily. Because of this, your clarity and confidence matter more than perfect grammar. Another helpful technique is practicing your voice while reading or repeating sentences. When you read a short paragraph or repeat sentences from a video, try focusing on your voice. Speak clearly. Use natural pauses. Pay attention to the rhythm of the sentence. Over time, your mouth becomes more comfortable producing English sounds. Your voice becomes stronger and more natural. You can also record yourself speaking. Many learners feel surprised when they hear their own voice. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, but recording yourself can help you notice your speaking speed, pronunciation, and clarity. When you listen to the recording, ask simple questions. Was I speaking too fast? Was my voice clear? Did I pause naturally? These small observations help you improve step by step. Another important thing to remember is that confidence often grows from familiarity. The more often you say certain sentences, the more comfortable they feel. For example, phrases like, "In my opinion," "I think," "That is interesting," or "Let me explain," become easier every time you use them. Eventually, they come out naturally, without much thinking. These familiar phrases act like anchors during conversation. When you feel nervous, they help you continue speaking smoothly. Many fluent speakers use these small phrases regularly. They help organize thoughts and create natural conversation flow. At the end of the day, confident speaking is not about sounding perfect. It is about sounding calm, clear, and comfortable with the language you already know. Your words do not need to be complicated. Your grammar does not need to be perfect. What truly matters is that your message is clear and your voice shows belief in what you are saying. When you speak slowly, pause naturally, breathe calmly, and relax your body, your communication becomes stronger. And when your communication becomes stronger, your confidence grows even more. Little by little, your voice begins to carry a new message. The message is simple but powerful. You are not just learning English anymore. You are using it with confidence. Chapter 6. Now we have reached the final part of this journey. In the previous chapters, we talked about many important ideas. We learned why simple thinking makes speaking easier. We talked about the hidden confidence problem that many learners face. We discussed how small ideas can become clear sentences. We explored the power of daily speaking habits. And we also understood how your voice and body language can change the way people hear your English. Now it is time to connect all these ideas together. Many learners think fluency in English is something magical. They imagine that one day they will suddenly wake up and speak perfect English without effort. But real language learning does not happen like magic. It happens slowly, step by step, through many small actions. Think about a plant growing in a garden. The plant does not become tall in one day. It grows little by little. Every day it receives sunlight. Every day it receives water. At first, the change is very small. You may not even notice it. But after many weeks and months, the plant becomes strong and healthy. Learning English follows the same process. Every small effort you make is like giving water to that plant. When you speak one simple sentence, you are helping your brain grow stronger. When you learn one new word, your vocabulary becomes a little bigger. When you listen to English for a few minutes, your ears become more familiar with the language. These small actions may not feel very powerful at the moment, but when they are repeated again and again, they create real progress. Many learners become discouraged because they expect fast results. They study for a few days or weeks and then say, "My English is not improving." But language learning is not a race. It is a long journey. The learners who succeed are usually not the ones who learn the fastest. They are the ones who continue practicing even when progress feels slow. Let us imagine two learners again. The first learner studies with excitement for a short time. They watch many lessons and memorize many words. But after a few weeks, they feel tired or discouraged. They stop practicing for a long time. The second learner takes a different approach. They practice a little every day. They speak small sentences. They listen to short English videos. They repeat useful phrases. Their practice may look simple, but they continue doing it regularly. After several months, the difference becomes very clear. The first learner may have learned many rules but still feels uncomfortable speaking. The second learner may not know every grammar rule, but they can communicate easily. This happens because fluency grows from use, not only from study. Another important thing to remember is that mistakes are part of this process. Many learners try to avoid mistakes completely. They want their English to sound perfect every time they speak. But perfection is not the goal of communication. Even native speakers make small grammar mistakes or forget words sometimes. This is normal in every language. When you accept that mistakes are part of learning, speaking becomes less stressful. You stop worrying about every word. You start focusing on sharing your ideas. And when you focus on communication instead of perfection, your confidence becomes stronger. Remember the main idea of this video. Small thinking can create confident talking. You do not need big vocabulary to start speaking. You do not need perfect grammar to express your ideas. You only need the courage to use the words you already know. Every time you say a simple sentence, you are proving to yourself that communication is possible. At the beginning, your sentences may be short. You might say things like, "I like this movie." "Today is a busy day." "I am learning English." These sentences are simple, but they are powerful because they show action. Over time, those small sentences will grow naturally. "I like this movie because it is funny." "Today is a busy day because I have a lot of work." "I am learning English because I want to communicate with people around the world." Step by step, your speaking becomes richer and more expressive. One day you may notice something surprising. The language that once felt difficult now feels comfortable. Words come to your mind faster. Conversations feel more natural. This transformation does not happen overnight, but it happens when you continue taking small steps. Always remember something important about your learning journey.